What's going on, y'all? It's your girl, Ray P. Welcome back to another episode of the We Got Y'all podcast. Of course, I'm not here alone. I am joined by my esteemed colleague, my road dog, one of my best friends, Mr. Pull Up on Me, slash come see about me in a good way, Kieron, aka K Rich, the one and only podcaster aficionado extraordinaire, the one.
Yo, you gotta chill. You gotta relax.
The one and only. He brought us back, guys.
Uh,
Over it.
nah, man. I did not. First of all, thank you for that incredible introduction. That's I gotta top that at some point. Maybe I can intro the next episode. We'll see. But thank you for that. You know, I love you deeply.
Mhm.
Excited to be back here on We Got Y'all. Is this the ink on? Tap tap. Yeah, we back, man. I promise.
Does
The
my
feed
mic
is still
sound
here.
nice?
Right, man. The feed is still on. Thank you for staying subscribed. And not only are we back, it's about to be a busy first quarter for We Got Y'all because, as you can see in the title, we're going to be discussing The Agency, which, if you haven't heard about it, it is on Paramount Showtime. We'll get into some streaming information here soon. But not only that, we know that White Lotus is coming back in
Yes,
I think, February.
February.
We have Raising Canaan, which is coming back this winter. No
Uh,
official date, but they did say in September that it's coming back winter. So it could be any week or month now.
yeah,
And then also Harlem. Harlem's coming back, I believe, in January.
hmm
Yeah, so we will be busy here on the We Got Y'all feed.
for
Um,
sure.
Looking forward to it. Looking forward to it. Obviously, we haven't stopped recording. If you
Yeah.
haven't heard, listen to us at the Culture Garden podcast. Doing movies. It's Christmas season, so we have a Christmas movie coming out this Thursday. But with that being said, that's just a long-winded way of saying we miss y'all. We
We
miss y'all
did.
here. We got
We
y'all.
did. And you know what? I'll apologize to y'all for letting this go cold. Um, the intent was to have a busy Q3 4 after I don't want to say Game of Thrones, but after
House of the
House of the
Dragon.
Dragons. But for those who listen to the Culture Garden, my work schedule was absolutely crazy. I was gone like Monday through Friday almost every week for like 2.5 months. So I did not have the bandwidth and the capacity. And I feel like I was watching shows, but I wasn't retaining the information. So having the bandwidth to do multiple rewatches, I just couldn't do it.
Listen,
So my bad, y'all. But we back.
man,
We
I
back.
get it. I get it. Listen, it's taxing. It's a lot of
It
stuff. The
is.
prep, not the
It is.
conversations are. It's the prep. It's making sure that
For
you know
sure.
what you're talking about.
For sure.
Because I'm sure there's been a couple of times in the history we got y'all where Rachel carried an episode because I didn't. I had a half a watch. I watched it, but I wasn't watching it type of thing. But I knew enough to join the conversation. I'm sure
Yeah,
vice versa. So I actually we want to make sure we give everybody the best content and best product out there. But once we get rolling, y'all know how it is. And I think part of it too. And I don't want to be a Grinch at this time of the year. The Shy was very taxing, like to just get up for it. And that's one of the last show we did at the same time of
mhm,
House of the Dragons. And it was just very taxing and it felt like a chore. So
for sure.
I felt like for some, I don't want to put it on the Shy, but it was one of those like, let's jump back into it when we know for sure it's going to be something we want to talk about. And I
For
think the
sure.
agency fit the bill for that.
For sure. For sure. I think the plan was to do Bel Air, which got greenlit for the fourth and final season.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I was gonna talk about it. I didn't love season 3 of Bel Air, so I'm kind of glad we didn't do it because I
Mm.
feel like it might have been the same scenario. With not really feeling like recording. So
I,
we'll
I saw
see.
people upset. I saw people upset about Bel Air only going 4 seasons. Listen, I gotta say this: the era of 7, 8, 9 seasons, like that's over, and we don't need it. I've been seeing a thread on I'm Twitter. Your mama call you Twitter. I'm gonna call you. Your mama named you Twitter. I'm gonna call you Twitter. I
Mhm.
saw a thread on Twitter recently about how Family Matters was ass, and like I forgot these iterations of Steve Urkel. Like
Mhm.
he played obviously Stefan Arkell, but this thug by some crazy silly name, and it just got to be a lot. I remember the episode of Family Matters where he was playing pickup basketball, and it was just silly. It was just real silly.
Mhm.
So I'm glad. I've always said it. Great shows know when to end. I'm not saying Bel Air is great, but it's really good, and they really
Yeah.
did a good job with just rebranding that whole thing. And you know what's funny, Rachel? Just random.
Mhm.
You know what show I'm surprised they haven't rebooted yet? Like that
What?
just seems like a layup. Like just seems like a layup that they haven't tried it yet.
What?
Saved by the Bell. Maybe that's what Euphoria was supposed to be. I don't
Oh, my lord. But you know what? I'm surprised they haven't redone the Saved by the Bell too. Uh, Saved by the Bell was my shit. I loved the college years, that little 1 or 2 seasons that got,
Mhm.
but maybe they feel like they did Saved by the Bell. They had all of those seasons, then the college years. Then wasn't there like a movie when Zach and Kelly got married? Like it was a lot of Saved by the Bell shit. So
Yeah, I'm talking about new characters. You know how they do that now. That's a new
yeah,
thing because now they talk about bringing back Martin and everything else. So
mm,
Hollywood's just lazy.
for
Not a
sure,
lot of fresh ideas, even
for
though
sure.
we do have some fresh ideas with this. In a sense, I think let's go ahead and just talk about it, Rachel. Let's go ahead and
Let's
get
see what
into the
this is
agency.
about. I'll put
What
y'all
is
together before we do it, y'all. I'll put together y'all everything that I did watch and what I do put my name behind. Okay.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's make a Rachel's. Let's start doing this.
Ray recommend.
Rachel's year. Ray recommends, and
Okay.
this is the perfect time to maybe do a year-end list. Your best of 2024.
For
What are the
sure.
best things that you watch on television? I think a lot of people would take heed to that, and I know I certainly will.
Yeah.
Um, and what we need to start doing, what we're going to do next year, Black Real Awards. If you listen to Culture Garden, we did an episode with them last year. I actually reached out to them, Rachel,
You did?
to ask them your question. You know, one of the nominations. They did tell me. I don't
Mhm.
want to put it on air because they haven't announced it, but
Okay.
it's coming soon. Just like I said,
Yeah.
um, and they do a TV awards as well. That's usually in the summer, fall.
Oh.
I'm gonna send you the information just so you
Sweet.
can look over it and see like what won for this past awards.
Okay.
And then next year, I would love to cover that and kind of see
For
what's what.
sure.
It's a lot of TV, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on who you thought won. If you watched the shows, maybe we'll just throw that as a bonus episode one of
Okay.
these weeks or something like that.
Okay.
Just to get your thoughts. I know I didn't watch all the stuff that you did. I know that for a fact.
I love
Um,
TV.
yeah, but I forget where we were going with that. Why I even brought it? Why did I bring up the?
Oh, because I said I'm gonna
Oh
tell you
yeah,
what I recommend. Yeah.
yes. Thank you. But to get back on track, if you're new to We Got Y'all, once again, thank you. This is not a scene by scene type of podcast. We do
Not
not
at all.
discuss television shows in that way. We discuss shows just based on our overall thoughts, our overall feelings.
Mhm.
And this is something that I think we're doing for the first time. I have to go back and look, but is this the first show we're getting in at on the ground floor? I think everything else we've caught it like one in season two or see. I don't know if we started anything from season one.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah, so this is gonna be unique for us and very fun. Well, we almost started rap shit from season one.
No, we should have just stuck with it.
We should have stuck with it, and then winning time, obviously. But
Oh yeah.
um,
Yeah, one in
was that one? I don't know.
no,
No, we didn't do one. We didn't do
oh,
season one of winning
season
time.
2.
Dang. So yeah, this is literally it. Yeah, this is literally it. So I'm excited to get into it. We're talking about the agency, which is like I said, streaming on Paramount, Showtime. You have to have the Showtime bundle with it, so it is going to be the $12.99 a month. Just give y'all a heads up. But the synopsis of the series, it follows a world of even deeper intrigue and subterfuge, with characters fighting their own battles as they grapple with existential threats to the nation and the world. So it is pretty much your political thriller,
Mhm.
uh, conspiracy, spy
Espionage.
type of television, espionage, the whole nine. Um, we're going to be reviewing season one, episodes 1 through 3, titled The Bends, Wooden Duck, and Hawk from a Handsaw. Rachel, just to give a little bit of information about the show that we'll be covering for the next couple of months. It was based off a French series called Le Bureau de Legends, translates to The Bureau. It was created by Eric Rochant, and then it was redone by Jez Butterworth and John Henry Butterworth, who are also writers on the show.
Mhm.
But they recreated the series to make it to put it in London. Um, they actually developed the show that Rachel and myself watched, but we didn't discuss on the pod. Nine Perfect Strangers.
Such a good show.
Such a good show, yeah. So actually, I think Jazz or John Henry he developed that one, and they also wrote the film Ford vs Ferrari, and they wrote Get On Up, which we covered at the Culture Garden.
Hmm.
The first 2 episodes were directed by Joe Wright, and the third episode directed by Philip Martin. And obviously, if you're looking for big name executive producers, George Clooney is a part of the show as well. Don't know how much actual involvement he has other outside of maybe development or bringing it to the screen. I don't know if he's involved in the writing room, scripts, whatever the case may be. But as far as the cast goes, Michael Fassbender as Brandon Martian, Jeffrey Wright as Henry Ogletree, Jodie Turner-Smith as Dr. Sammy Zahir, Richard Gere as Bosco, the London station chief. We have Catherine Watterson as Naomi and Harriet Sansom Harris as Dr. Rachel Blake. Rachel,
Yes.
about a couple weeks ago, you sent me a text and said, hey, are you going to watch The Agency? Told you I didn't know what that was. You sent me the trailer, and here we are.
Yeah.
How did you find the show? What was it about it that made you want to discuss it?
Me watching entirely too much TV.
Mm.
Literally how it came about. So, in Rec Recommends, we'll talk about Lioness, which also
Yeah.
comes on Paramount Plus, which we low-key should have covered. I keep forgetting that it's released episodically after the first two, much like The Agency. So going forward.
I just got to say real quick. I know we praise Apple TV Plus. Paramount low
got
key
some
on the
shit.
low got some heat. They might have, as far as original content, I think they've actually passed Max Originals.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
Paramount
they got
Plus
some
has
heat
some
over there.
good,
King,
for
the
sure.
Tulsa King, Mayor of Kingstown,
Lioness, Landman,
Lioness.
all
Is it
the
Yellowstone on Paramount?
so
Tyler Sheridan, Taylor Sheridan. Yeah, I
Yellowstone
can't remember his name.
is on Paramount Plus. It airs current season. Yellowstone airs on Paramount, but I don't think it's replayed on Paramount Plus yet. But 1883 is, as well, or 1887 maybe. It might be 1883 and 1923, the prequels to Yellowstone, which are fucking nominal. I know I know 1923 has a second season coming. Um which I can't wait for that. If y'all know, tap in, let me know, because I will be tuned in. But that is essentially how I found The Agency. The trailer came on as I was preparing to watch Lioness, and I said, oh, I'm intrigued. And
Yeah.
so that's when I hit you up like, hey, you fucking with it?
So I told you say less. So I come from the world of. I remember seeing The Bourne Ultimatum in theaters like 3 times. Like I love that kind of world and work.
Mhm.
I mentioned earlier just about being in the ground floor, just kind of getting real time reaction. Is this show going to be good or not?
Mhm.
And Rachel watched it before I did,
Yeah.
the first 2 episodes, and she told me it was a slow burn, and she didn't really appreciate how good maybe the first or second episode was until she rewatched it.
Mhm.
And knowing that going into it, it made me pay a little bit extra attention during my
Yeah.
first watch. And I love storytelling. I
Mhm.
remember another series that we could have covered, but just kind of missed out on it because of schedules. The Penguin.
Yeah.
And I remember episode 4. It was the Sophia episode, kind of
Which
about
is
how she got locked up. And a lot of
which is
people
how I started
online
watching the show.
did not like it. And I remember talking to school, and we were just like, man, people just don't like storytelling because this is a perfect storytelling. Not
Mhm.
everything has to be action packed, shoot 'em
Yeah.
up, whatever the case is. It's just good classic storytelling. And
Mhm.
I think they
Mhm.
set us up here because we're dropped in this world and we don't know exactly what's going on, but we know some shit is afoot.
Yeah.
Things aren't what they're supposed to be. And we know just from living as long as we have, um, the government, things can get tricky. There's a lot of secrets,
For
a
sure.
lot of secrets going on. And from watching these first 3 episodes, I can honestly say this has the potential to be something really, really good.
Mhm.
We'll see where they take it.
Yeah.
Um, and worst case scenario, the basement is that the acting will save it
For
because
sure.
there's phenomenal acting. So I don't see how there's going to be a miss in this series because
Mhm.
even if the writing goes awry, like I said, the acting can go ahead and pull it out.
Yeah.
It made me want to watch Safe House or Body of Lies
Mhm.
and things like that. Like I would not be surprised that by the time we finish these 10 episodes, I'll probably pick Safe House for Culture Garden because I'll probably be in that mode. But yeah, I guess the most recent example of this would be Homeland as far as a show, but
Mhm.
I'm rocking with it. I'm looking forward to talking about it. And how do you want to do this? Do you just want to have a conversation about all 3 episodes combined and what's going on
Yeah,
as
let's
a
do
whole?
that just because it's 3 episodes,
Yeah,
so it is released episodically. And so next week when we come back with episode 4, I think we have a more not necessarily in-depth conversation about the episode itself, but it will be more so about the episode itself. So let's
yeah,
pretty much walk us through 1 through 3, talk about these characters, what's going on, any
yeah.
predictions that you may have.
Sure things. So I guess it would be good to give a quick. I'll give a general synopsis
Okay.
just off the top of my brain. So
Yeah.
episode 1, we open up with this character. We don't know who he is, but we come to find out his code name is Martian.
Hmm.
And that's what we're going to know. He's played by Michael Fassbender. We know that he has been out there on a mission for 6 years undercover, pretty much as a spy. And then 48-hour notice, he gets pulled back into a safe house in Jordan and then to the London office to where he's now one of the agents and
Hmm.
no longer in the field. We also have Henry, who was played by Jeffrey Wright, the incomparable Jeffrey Wright,
Like,
uh, absolute legend. He is in charge of something. I'm not sure of his exact title. He's not the head guy, but he is somebody. People
yeah.
report to him. He means something in that building, has a corner office, the whole nine. There's something that's going on with a code or an agent or spy named Coyote, who
Hmm.
we just see him stumbling through the bar. We know he's 6 years sober, but he's
Hmm.
drunk in the scene. We see him hitting things with the car, the whole nine. And I guess the main premise, Rachel, of this show right now is figuring out where Coyote is
Hmm.
because he knows something about an operation called Felix,
Yeah.
which is very, very top notch. One of the leaders at Langley, or the director at Langley, which is CIA headquarters, mentioned about people on one hand know what's going on with Felix, and that's including the president of the United States.
Hmm.
Um, so we're dropped into this world. There's this minor character as of right now named Danny,
Yeah.
who is about to be an agent or go to her first field assignment. And Martian is in charge of making sure that she's right. We also have who else? A love interest that we know from the very first 3 minutes of the show. We know that Martian is lying about her
Hmm.
because
Hmm.
of the way they broke up.
You know, I I did not know how to take that at first. I
Okay.
still am not positive what I think of this relationship, what I think of Martian slash Brandon slash Paul.
Paul Lewis.
All the same character.
Hmm.
Um, in this breakup, I think upon the first watch, I'm like, why the fuck is he lying? So he tells the person he reports to when breaking down the breakup, essentially that, she took it hard, shed some tears, but it is what it is. While, and I thought it was a beautiful scene, even though I didn't quite understand it at first. So as he's retelling the story of their breakup, beneath the scene, it's set up showing what actually happened. It's
Hmm.
not some casual quote unquote relationship where there is, yeah, I'm upset, it's some emotion. There is deep intimacy between Brandon Paul and how do you say her name? Sivana?
I have her down as Dr. Sammy.
Okay.
Sammy Zahir.
Sammy Zahir, played by Jodie Turner Smith, who,
Hey,
having mixed feelings, but she's smoking this shit.
she's smoking it, and hey, listen, Michael Fassbender and Joshua Jackson kind of look. I don't know what she be doing to them men. Shout out to Pacey. Shout out to Charlie Conway, man. But hey,
Is that who that is?
who?
Oh,
Jodie
never.
Turner Smith is no. Jodie Turner Smith
Yeah,
has had a baby with
with
Joshua Jackson.
Pacey. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah, yeah.
but no. That's not who Michael Fassbender is.
I know that's I
Oh,
had
my
a
fault. Yeah.
brain fart, and that's why I had to pull it back because I was like, wait a minute, what? Okay.
But say all
Um,
that to say, you are right, Rachel. She is smoking it.
she's smoking it, and I didn't like her. after Queen and Slim, and definitely not
Mm,
after her Will Smith comments after the slap. But
mm.
separating the art from the artist. She is killing this, and I don't know if she is African. I don't want to say
I
in real
believe
life.
she was raised in. I believe she was raised in London. She's
Yeah,
a
she is
British.
British. That
Yeah, I
I
don't know where she's
know.
from per her actual background. Actually, I get what you're saying.
Okay, but so she's killing this accent regardless. And this and in Bad Monkey, but there's deep intimacy between them, which if you've been a spy or if you've watched enough, you know that you don't build personal connections with people while you're undercover. Like that's a number one rule of no. So now, right now, we learned that Brandon Paul is a liar,
Mm-hmm.
and you are lying to the people who know everything, who can find
Insane.
out everything, which is crazy to me.
Insane. Speaking of which, I wanted to ask you really the only question outside of this show that I wanted to ask you is: could you ever see yourself being a spy and living this life?
How do we know I'm not a spy now?
See, that's a great answer. That's a great answer. I wanna wrap your comment up to the
Okay.
end of the episode of episode 1, right?
Yeah.
About the intimacy. It's not just because, and I believe in episode 2 or 3, when Henry pulls up on Martian when he's at the hotel with her,
Yeah.
right? It kind of checks him like, "Yo, what are you doing?" He made the mention of it was just a fuck. And to your point, Rachel, it was much more than that. And we know that, but even though he's trying to play it off and even lying to his handler about
Yeah.
what it is, right? And going to the end of the episode, within the first 24 hours of meeting her, he was talking to his handler about her.
Mhm.
And his handler told her, you know, I don't have to know the details unless presents a problem. And she pretty much said, "What's the problem?" Well, two problems. If anything doesn't add up, or
Mhm.
if you fall in love, because we all know the one thing that's certain is love is blind.
Ooh.
And to your point, like you just said, Rachel, you cannot be in a job like this with so
Mhm.
much security, national security, so much importance and safety on the line, and you become blinded by the love or
Yeah.
blinded by whatever it is. It's no different than I forget the person who was in charge of the interrogation. Frank, I believe his
Mm.
name is Frank. It's no different than when he was talking to Henry. And Henry had to say, like, don't you think that somebody with a disease that needs to be in their file so we know whether or not to put them out here or not? It's
Mhm.
the same type of thing, bro. Like, you have way too much importance to what you do to be letting little shit like that slide. That's the difference between disaster and everything being cool. Or as they said in the show, we're all right or till we're fucked.
For sure.
So
For sure.
I don't know, man. Whatever it is, man, she put it on. And this
And
nigga's on it.
Dr. Sammy is the truth. I know we're wrapping up that conversation, but consider an episode 2 where the other agents were following Brandon Paul to see where he was going, following his every move to make sure that essentially he was on the up and up. Mind you, this man has been undercover for 6 years, and now he's pulled back into the real world to be himself, quote unquote, and to
Yeah.
operate as an agent in a different capacity from whatever it was he was doing before. Um, Dr. Sammy, she makes her way to the hotel where he is. They have their intimate moment and the guys know, but they don't know who she is. And I think that that's very important for episode, I believe that's episode 2, um, where they're following him with the spy equipment and he brings it back. I'm gonna bring y'all coffee. Like, hey,
Mm-hmm.
I know that you're following me.
Yeah.
I'm on the up and up as far as y'all need to know, but low key, I'm not. And with her departure, it leaves questions.
Leaves a lot of questions. Let me ask you this right now.
Okay.
Who do you think she is? Is she an agent? Is she something? Because there's a lot of they're being very intentional about not getting us too much We know that she's more than what she's giving on. I just don't know what that is.
At the end of episode 2, it leaves us with the cliffhanger where she's unreachable. And Brandon his wheels are turning.
Mm-hmm.
And he's trying to figure out all of the missteps that he's made, essentially, because he is blinded by love.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the episode, I felt like, oh, she's 1000% an agent for another foreign agency, this, that, and the third. Upon the rewatch, I see in episode 2 my first glimpse of her husband.
But is that her husband? Do we know that? That's my thing. Do we know that's her husband, or is he following him? Her the same way Grandpa and Grandma are following Martian or Brandon, as you call him.
See, that's what I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
In episode 3, when he's outside of the house, or the hotel, when he follows her to the movies, when he follows her outside of the movie where they're breaking up, essentially, it gives very much jealous husband stalking, which she made a comment about. I already have you stalking me now. I already have a jealous husband. But could he be her handler? And could he be not necessarily jealous, but his demeanor was menacing, quote unquote? Could he be upset that she too is moving outside of the bounds of her role, of what she's been hired to do? I think that she loves him too. If I give in to the thought of she is also an agent for somebody spying on this nigga, I think that she has made the same misstep as Brandon has in falling in love. And now she's about to be in trouble the same way that he was. Now, if I don't and say you're about to be in trouble with your damn husband who watched you not only have an affair, but with a white man.
I don't. I don't think. I don't think that's her husband. And I
Okay.
thought about it. It definitely crossed my mind because,
Mhm.
like I said, they're doing a great job of really not showing too much. Part of the reason why I'm a little bit confused is because when he first told, I believe it was that ending scene of episode 1, when he first told Naomi, his handler, when I say he, I'm talking about Brandon, aka Martian. She looked her up
Yeah.
and looked her information up. Now,
Mhm.
if she really is a spy, the chances are that she should have a clean identity.
Yeah.
However, you would think that the CIA would be able to find that that's not a clean identity. So it's a lot of like mixed things, spies versus spies. I don't know.
Yeah.
But the way that there's two things in particular. The way that the man was taking pictures of her at the end
Mhm.
of episode 3, like driving by and took the picture.
Mhm.
Usually pictures are for someone else. I believe that was like, all right, I put myself in his shoes, right? In marriage, I've never been married. And I'm sure if you've been married for a certain amount of time, you don't just pop out with all the information you have,
Yeah.
right?
You build a
But
fort.
unless she has a history of that, I'm pulling up like, who the fuck is? I don't care. Like, I don't think husbands would care about that. And the way she got into the back seat, I think it was some real shit. Like he called her, and she knew exactly what it was, and she
Mhm.
got in the back seat. I think that he works for some. Now he might work for her husband. I'm just thinking
Mm.
about that in real time. This dude might work for her husband,
Okay. Okay.
but that dude is not her husband.
I'll
Not
take
saying the
that.
husband's not involved, or not saying that she has a husband. She could just be a whole ass spy. I don't know, but that's going to be one of the biggest. If that doesn't get revealed by the next episode, which it should, because she got picked up, um, then that's going to be a big part of this series, as
Yeah.
well as Danny. And I kind of want to. Well, before we even get to Danny, because we only see her a little bit, and I'm very curious about her and what she's going to be bringing to the show.
Mhm.
You talked about pulling Brandon being undercover for 6 years. And that's one of the most appealing things that I think they're diving into a little bit with the show.
Mhm.
Like what it's like to be someone else and then come back like everything's normal. And it's not normal because you're getting followed, like you said, Rachel, just to make sure you're cool. But not only am I getting followed, the place where y'all put me up is bugged. I have no sense of freedom. I'm fighting for freedom, but I
Yeah.
don't even have sense of it.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of crazy how, he's trying to adjust to this life and just being back home. And it looks like he's doing okay, but you can tell there's something else a little bit there. And obviously, like I said, he's lying about things. I don't know. It's just a lot going on. I thought it was very interesting. All the email addresses, all the IDs, just
Yeah.
a whole destroy. They put them through the shredder.
I love that you brought this up. And so maybe I'll say episode 3 is my favorite so far of the
Okay.
3 that have been released. When Martian Paul Brandon is in his interview with Grandma, the psychiatrist, he is very clear on saying, I have maintained my insanity. I am still, in fact, crazy, because I think he's right.
Mm-hmm.
You do have to be crazy to do this job in the first place. You mean you want me to strip my mind and body of memory of all things that I know of myself and take on this persona of someone else 10 times over for whatever the mission requires? You have to be some level of nuts to do that, and to be good at it. Not just do it, but do it well, which is where I'm curious to see what goes on with Danny, because while she's green, I'm not, of the little that we saw of her, I'm not convinced that she will do this well yet.
Yeah, I'd have been pissed off as soon as she was laughing after the interrogation shit. Like,
Yeah.
this shit ain't no game. Like, this is,
Yeah.
you can get killed over here, like straight
Mhm.
up. And there's
Mhm.
nothing we can do for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to be crazy to do this, like you said. And he did a great job at that ending scene of episode 3. Like, you're doing this for GP.
Mhm.
Like, there's no trophy at the end of this. There's no like award. There's no big parade. There's no
Mhm.
publicity. There's no fame. I think you do this for GP. You ain't getting no crazy amount of money.
Yeah.
Like, you just get to pretend. Yeah, we fucked up out here,
Mhm.
Doc. Like, we're fucked up out here. Like, we're pretending to be different people. And not only that, as he told her, I'm always Brandon, but what I'm sure is happening is you're picking up all these other characteristics too,
Mhm.
and all these other things, and that's just gonna fuck with you. And that kind of ties into the conversation Naomi had with Danny.
Yeah.
She said, "There's a price. There's a price to this.
Mhm.
Like, you're going to be alone. You're gonna be by yourself. Like, what it's like to take who you are and just strip that person away
Yeah.
to become somebody else completely new." And like, it's just mentally, like, that's why I asked you the question, because I'm sure you get used to it, but you got to be a different type of person for
Could
that
you do it?
to happen. Nah, I'm not. No, no. Like, that's too exhausting.
Yeah.
It's too
Yeah.
exhausting. It's. I don't. I'm trying to think of what I believe in that deeply to do that,
Mhm.
because that's what you. I think that's the core cause of all this, right? Like, that believing in freedom, believing in your country, serving and honoring your country, and duty, like
Sacrifice, duty.
sacrifice. Yeah, you have to strongly. These are people who put bumper stickers on their car. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, you
You have
strongly
to
have to believe in something like that.
you have to truly hold these truths to be self-evident.
Facts. Facts. Facts, man. And as he told the doctor at the end of the episode 3, like, you don't want to make me get better. You just want to make sure I'm not sane.
You want to make sure I'm still nuts. Yeah.
Because there is a certain edge. Like, can we use you or not? Because that's the other thing about this, right? And we even see it in the wooden duck episode.
Mhm.
Like, no matter what you do, no matter how loyal you are, we can fuck with you anytime we want to. And he was screaming that. Alexei was screaming that 3
Yeah.
years. And this how y'all do me? Like, what the fuck is y'all on? You always gotta look over your shoulder. And
That's
I
it.
couldn't. That's the part I really couldn't do, Rachel. Could I spy and do all this other shit or whatever? I don't know. There's a great scene in episode 2, Wooden Duck, where Danny meets Brandon for the first time. And he
Mhm.
has an assignment for her and really shows her very quickly, like, yo, this is not what we do. Like,
Yeah.
you can't jump in and out. Like, you got to get this information another way. You got 15 minutes to do it. And it shows the intensity of their job. Because a normal person would be like, I don't, what? Like she
Yeah.
came down, and I even realized she wrote that shit down. Like you don't write shit down as a
You
spy.
don't
Like
write
you don't
shit
do
down,
that.
you just gotta know it.
Yeah, and here's your lesson. Like don't depend on anybody to keep you safe. You got to keep yourself safe.
Mhm.
Now that you did that, this guy's gonna come over and you're gonna stay. Now you ain't coming with me. You're gonna stay here and talk to this man because you gotta learn that this is how shit's done.
Yeah.
Um, but it's to constantly looking over my shoulder, knowing that at any moment it could be a Goodfellas moment where I walk through a door and somebody just pop me.
Yeah.
And it'd be the government.
Tricky.
That's the tricky part. That's the tricky part that I couldn't do. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
I don't know. I don't know. It's all everything is hard. I guess you gotta choose your heart, but to your point, I don't think that that's something that I would for real, be wanting to do, you know?
Yeah, she Danny, going back to her, she gets her mission, right? We see her doing the goodbyes. So
Mhm.
Danny is kind of like us as far as this show's involved. And when I say us, I mean the same way Rachel and myself are starting this from the ground floor. Danny looks like someone who's starting at the ground floor of
Yeah.
actually being a certified CIA special agent, undercover missions, the whole nine. And we see her get to she's our avatar, so we can get to see like how you say your goodbye to people and how you
Mhm.
transfer divisions without somebody leaving. And as I mentioned earlier, there's a good contrast of Martian, him giving his passport and his ID up and them shredding it and how used he is to it, even though he kept that license.
Yeah.
That's gonna come back later, obviously.
Oh, for sure.
Um, and the look of fear, almost I don't
It's
know if it was fear.
go ahead.
I don't know if it was fear. I don't know if it was just how easy somebody that I built and become can be torn away,
Erased. Mhm.
erased that quick. And then she was shook by it. And that's like I said, that's when they had that famous or not famous scene, but that good scene about there's a cost for doing this work. Uh, price of surviving totally alone. What do you feel about her character and what is she going to play in this whole role of things? Because she has to I think his name is Professor Mortavezzi.
Mhm.
They're trying to get in with the Iranians, and
Mhm.
that's her goal right now to get hired or
Yeah.
selected for this thing.
Mhm.
What do you think about her overall role? Do you think she's going to survive out there? The
Now
whole nine.
see, I don't think so. I think she may surprise us. I was going to ask you, what did you think of her goodbye to her people? Um,
It was weird that she said she blamed it on her boyfriend and that they didn't know. She said a fake boyfriend, but how y'all friends? You never met her boyfriend? That's weird.
as fuck. I don't know about her. And I know
Me
everybody
neither.
has to start somewhere. I guess I haven't gotten enough to believe in her just yet though. Um, I think obviously she does get the job, but I think she gets herself into trouble and she's got to figure out a way out. Will she complete the mission? I don't know. I've got my eye on her. I don't even 100% trust her.
I don't something about her, and they're
Yeah.
doing it. Like I said, they're doing a great job of setting the tone for these
Mhm.
characters.
Mhm.
They're leaning us into a direction of how we're supposed to be feeling about them.
Yeah.
Because I don't dislike her, but there's something like you say, there's something tricky about her.
Yeah, for
And I'm
sure.
trying to figure out what it is. I don't know if it's because she's young and naive or whatever the case is. Um, Coyote.
Mhm.
I mentioned that Coyote is the whole premise of what we have so far,
Yeah.
even though it's not really deeply being discussed. And it kind of ties in with Felix. So
Mhm.
Felix is another code name for,
A mission.
as we mentioned, a mission that's very, very top secret, national security at this point. And when Coyote first went missing, there was a conversation by I believe his name's Owen, his handler, and his previous handler before that about there's three theories: DUI, he really got a DUI, he's blown and reducted, or he planned his own disappearance.
Mhm.
And for the first three episodes, we're still trying to figure out what's going on with this whole Coyote thing because
Yeah.
he was taken into the station, his phone's still there, but he's missing and no one saw him leave.
Mhm.
So it's some real shit going on that people at a very high pay grade know about, and the
Yeah.
rest of the world doesn't. They're really trying to get them back. Um, And then you mix in the Felix operation, which once again, Coyote has information about what's going on with the medical
Mm-hmm.
supplies that's being delivered there, and that's in Ukraine. And then we also see a scene to know, obviously, the reveal is Phoenix is someone by the name of Charlie, who is
Mm-hmm.
the brother-in-law of Henry, played by Jeffrey Wright.
Yeah.
We see Henry do some shit that he shouldn't be doing. Anytime somebody hits you, hey, listen, Rachel. Anytime someone hits you with the, I gotta ask you a question. You ain't gotta answer
Yeah.
if you don't want to. Don't
Bruh.
even ask me the question, bruh.
Please don't.
Don't even ask me the question.
Please
If you gotta
don't.
hit me with the don't answer if you don't want to, please do not ask me.
Yeah. So he hits Henry with the blink. You know, just blink if I'm on it, if I'm right or not.
Yeah. Yeah. If I'm right, if I'm wrong, tell me no. And he
Mhm.
mentioned Felix and he didn't say anything. So that was kind of our first reveal. Because Felix was mentioned in that briefing about things that were going on or that this guy knew about Coyote. Um, there's a moment between Bosco. I'm surprised we haven't talked about Bosco yet, played by Richard Gere, because he's killing it. Shout out
Yeah.
to Richard Gere.
Yeah.
There's a moment where they're in the office and they're talking about, like, I know you're in a tough spot, like service versus personal life. Let me actually see exactly what he said so I can make sure that I don't mess it up. Um, heart versus job, soul versus duty.
Hmm.
You signed up for that, or you signed up for this. We all signed up
Yeah,
for
I
it.
did. Yeah.
How are you feeling about Henry right now and his character? Because these type of characters are not supposed to be trusted, from Bosco, actually from the director Langley's character all the way down. Henry seems a little bit different.
Henry, I would very much like backstory on Henry.
Yeah.
When did he get married? Because I feel like he was an agent, also undercover at some point, and then now you've moved, to your point earlier, to the corner office, this that, and the third. Does Henry have children? Does he have a fucking poppy running around? Um, I think that Henry and Martian may be friends, and I don't think you're supposed to be friends with uh
Yeah,
your
maybe I was thinking maybe they were agents together. Maybe
yes.
like were trained together. However, I do know, like you said, Rachel, when you are when you're on the same level, if one of
Mhm.
you elevates at a certain point, they separate you
Yes.
because there's too much different. I never forget working retail, and I became a manager at a retail store I was working, and they moved me to a different store because you've been selling with these guys all this time. They look at you a certain way.
Yeah,
Like it's gonna be hard to change it. Yeah,
the difference no longer exists. What do you mean?
yeah,
We
exactly.
all was still in boxes on our
Yeah,
day
we
off.
still on box, nigga. We smoke weed on lunch break, bro. Like, what you? How you gonna tell me? You gonna write me up some shit when I got a million things I could write you up for?
Exactly,
Yeah,
exactly. So I think, hey, maybe that's why Martian was gone for 6 years while Henry was I don't say matriculating, but while he was moving up the ladder
elevating. Yeah,
up there. Um, I think that he is tricky. I think that he is kind, cares about Martian Brandon Paul, obviously cares about Charlie, his brother-in-law, deeply affected by what he does and doesn't know about the mission. I think, and this may be a prediction, that whatever happens here may cause him to like crash out.
you talking about Henry?
Henry. Uh-huh.
So it's funny. I like that prediction. I'm gonna keep an eye on that. And
Yeah.
I was just gonna say it's funny because we can't. There's not a lot we know about this stuff yet. Like we
Mhm.
don't know some of the motivation or the backstory
Yeah.
behind this because we know, for example, we know the Felix thing came back to
Mhm.
Bosco,
Yeah.
right? He
Why you ask?
knew,
Uh-huh.
yeah, he knew Henry. And Henry said, I was hoping that it did. So we know he up to something, but I don't know how, like you said it perfectly, Rachel. We'll love some backstory on Henry. And I
Mhm.
think we're gonna get it as the story is unraveling or it's gonna unfold as we go along. because it elevated real quick from these guys working at a hospital or like in a medical tent to shooting their way out of, a Russian attack,
Russian. Yeah.
fleeing in the night. 3 people. My dude came out of the woods, shot 2 people, stole their tank, shot everybody else. Like they elevated or escalated, excuse me, real quick, very quickly.
Let me ask you, because this just popped into my mind as you were talking. Does Henry ask about Felix in an effort because maybe he is one of the handful of people who know what the fuck is up and what the actual mission is?
I
Am
think
I
so.
asking you, are you a part of this? So because you're my brother-in-law, let me protect you and get you the fuck up out of here. But you can't, because
Because
we've chosen honor, duty, da 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 da. Da. But
so is Henry Virginia? So remember, like Charlie's using something. Let's call it Microsoft Teams. It's like a
yeah.
Teams type of instant messaging
Mhm.
service.
Mhm.
Obviously, Virginia, Langley's in Virginia, so we know
Right.
it's a terrible code name for
Yeah.
CIA. It tells them I bought a ticket to Tel Aviv, or not. It wasn't Tel Aviv. I can't remember where it was, but I'll be there in the morning, which was obvious code because as soon as Charlie read that, we out of here. Our
Yeah.
mission's ended. We gotta slide.
Mhm. Mhm.
Is that Henry? Is that him letting him know, or is that somebody else behind the scenes? Henry has to know something, otherwise he wouldn't even have asked. And
Yeah.
we don't know how he even. There was too much information. There wasn't enough like precise information to say, okay, then that's how Henry knew, which
Mhm.
means he knew beforehand. To your point,
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
has to because
Uh-huh.
nobody else. It was never discussed anywhere else. They brought the name Felix up in that one meeting,
Yep.
and he asked him, and there were more names brought up, Rachel. So
Mhm.
why did you go straight to Felix as your first choice? Like, what do you know?
I think that he knows and maybe wasn't anticipating him being on that particular team. I know we've got our men and women out in the field doing XYZ, but let me just make sure, brother-in-law, let me make sure you cool. Where you at?
Mm-hmm.
So it could be some of that. And obviously, here it is. And so now, again, in episode 3, we see his wife trying to get into her weekly or semi-weekly conversation with her brother who is MIA. We watched him in this shootout. We watched him be pretty much on the run for his life, he and his comrades, hot wiring cars, hiding in the
On
woods,
it.
pouring water on the engine to stop the heat index from rising to be discovered from drones. He's really
Mm-hmm.
out there literally in the trenches. and
Man,
and, and Henry knows some level of this, or he finds out after the fact.
listen, I can't wait to see what that happens because Jeffrey Wright, right? So you gotta. He's brilliant, man. So whatever it is, he's gonna play it out. But I do. It's either he's really, really, really protective of his family, or he's really, really, really got a lot of dirt on his hands.
I think it's two things can be true, but I think it's the latter. But I do want to shout his wife out, which but I want to shout her out for knowing his silence,
Oh, she read
for
that ASAP.
knowing his face. He tried to assure her when he was unreachable that it's just a connection issue, I'm sure. But knowing your partner is so 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 important, and even more so when they do very dangerous work.
Yeah.
I appreciated that. Yes, I'm going to take this reassurance on the surface, but I'm also going to let you know that I know that you know more than what you're telling me.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm going to
Just
take
leave it
it
at that.
on the surface, but I see your face. I see you and I know you.
Mm-hmm. You know what? Do you know? You know who? Do you know what? Do you know who? Just keep
Exactly.
that between me and you. That's a very, very good point, Rachel. Because
Mhm.
she know, and it's my brother. We talking about. Stop playing with me.
Yeah.
She also
Yeah.
knows not to push
That's it. Knowing your
in due
partner.
time.
Mhm.
In due
I'm
time,
gonna
like,
find out.
mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
Um, but obviously, with Charlie being Felix or a part of Felix, we know that their mission, as Bosco tells them, under any circumstances, find them and bring them home. Like there's
Mhm.
no under any circumstances this can be compromised.
Yeah.
And obviously, like you said, Rachel, they know how to handle themselves. Um, let's talk a little bit about the wooden duck,
Okay.
because there were some interesting things that happened in that episode. Mainly, Martian's still trying to figure out what happened with Coyote. And we find this guy named Alexi, who was one of his contacts, who was one
Yeah.
of Coyote's contacts, who they're trying to see if he's a wooden duck. Is he
Mhm.
going to squeal if there's any kind of pressure put on him? Because if he does, that means he is working for the Russians and the
Yeah.
Americans, and they're going to be royally fucked if that's the case.
Yeah.
I just like the fact of how everything came together, how
Mm.
involved and how quickly the CIA works, to
Yeah.
the point where they set up all of this and we're seeing it. Like, we're going to set him up and we're going to kidnap him
Mhm.
and we're going to interrogate him and make it seem like it's someone else, just to see if dude's legit, because this is what you have to do when
Mhm.
one of your more important assets is just MIA, just missing. Like,
Yeah.
because why did this guy just disappear? Like, how do I know that there ain't no double shit coming on and Russia's about to get on our ass? So let me find one of his dudes, scoop him up, and see what he got to say.
Yeah.
And he was talking to the doctor about the wooden duck term and pretty much said, hey, if he says something, or if he's really working for Russia, at some point he's gonna be like, man, fuck the Americans. Like, nigga, I'm on y'all side, let's do it.
Yeah.
And if he's not, then we good. And it
Mhm.
looks like he's quacked, right? There was a moment where they say he quacking.
Mhm.
And there's also a moment towards the end of the episode when Martian hears Bosco and Henry talking about the whole Phoenix thing and what's going on. And as soon as he hears it, he gets up, and then that's when us as viewers find out that all of this is happening in their building.
Yeah.
He goes up, he finds a mask, starts yelling these names, and do you know these people? And we find out it's from a book called War and Peace.
Mhm.
They're not real people. So
Yeah.
that's their indication of knowing dude's not telling, he's just doing what he can to stay alive.
Exactly.
He's saying
Exactly.
whatever people want to hear to stay alive. Like, he's not really on this shit. So now, all
Mhm.
right, get them a meal, clean them up, like debrief them, the whole nine.
Yeah.
I thought that was very interesting because, once again, the other side of that is him realizing what's going on. I've given y'all 3 years, man.
Mhm.
3
Mm.
years. I can't
3
believe y'all
years.
doing me like this.
3
Because
years.
because for the last 3 years, at any given moment, anybody coming over my shoulder could kill me. They can
Mhm.
find out what I'm on and they can kill me. Like, I don't think a lot of people know how stressful that could be, or how some people never, the same way that Brandon Martian talked about him being insane, not shoot up the
Mhm.
place nuts, but
Yeah.
just nuts enough. Not everybody that's level of nuts. They're gonna be super paranoid and have
Mhm.
anxiety the whole time.
Mhm.
And that was just a great example of that. And I don't know, man. A lot of shit going on in that scene.
What are your thoughts on Alexi?
I just think he a pawn. I just think he's a pawn. Like, I don't think he's double working for the Martians. Like, and what part of that gave me was um when they went to go see his brother,
Mhm.
Dimitri.
Yeah.
Dimitri said he a spy. He don't even know how to tie his shoes. Like, we'll let you know. Like, I don't think your brother knows you. Like, bro,
Yeah.
he ain't that. Like, he might be
Yeah.
having a little role in something, but he ain't doing nothing important for y'all. He might just be passing along some information. I also love that scene. I'm glad you brought that up, because I love the fact when he got let me find her name, because I don't want to keep calling her about it. Dr. Rachel Blake.
Yeah.
He brought Dr. Rachel Blake in the mix. She had to stutter for a few moments. He told her, like, I want you to know what it's like to be in it. Like, that
Mm.
was 5 seconds, not 6 years.
Yeah.
Like, fuck all that. I'm here to observe. You got to know exactly what you're dealing with here in this moment. Like, at any given moment, I got to turn into another person, and that's crazy. But I don't think Alexi's any kind of harm. I think he's the setup for a great episode of showing how this whole thing works and
For
letting
sure.
us know that, all right, maybe Felix is a compromise yet.
Mhm. I don't trust Dr. Rachel. Now that's one I don't trust. And it could be the
Is it,
psychology of it all, but I don't trust her.
do you think it's because, what is it? What is it? Let me ask you directly. Why do you not trust her?
It's just something about her. It's just a gut feeling. Very much like my often whole feeling in House of Dragons. I don't trust her.
What did Owen say about that gut feeling to the other handler? He said this is I don't know, this is something not Reno.
Mm,
You gotta
I
have
don't-
more than a gut feeling. She does seem a little bit too innocent. Too nice in a sense. I don't know.
I don't even really want to say too nice. I feel like it's a darkness to her. Like maybe she is the double agent. Maybe she is
So
someone who's had a hand in the transfer of information or the handling of other agents that has gone awry. And she
that
uses
could
her
be.
skill and position to like cover her ass and to obtain more and new information.
I could definitely see. Obviously, she's there to observe, right? She's from the
Mhm.
psych department at Langley. She's there to observe something.
Mhm.
Dare I say, spy on something and see how things are
Mhm.
going on. I think it's more than just checking on the mental health. I don't think it's a
Mhm.
random time, especially when it comes to government and espionage. I don't think anything's random. I don't think you could survive in that world by thinking anything's random.
Yeah.
Um, I love the scene between. So Martian tells Henry that we have to spend some money
Mhm.
and do this whole thing to Alexi. Like
Yeah.
we have to spend the money to put on this gesture for Alexi to see what
Yeah.
he knows, to see if we're in
Spend
any
the
real
money.
danger.
Yeah.
Yeah, spend the money. And I love that moment when Dr. Blake, there, they show her the video of Alexi. He pretty much, Martian pretty much says like, it's your call, but if he think he good, then many people could die, including him. And
Mhm.
she asked a question pretty much like, what would you do if you were told you can't travel, but there's an Ebola breakout? Like pretty much confirming the fact like this nigga's running. He
Yeah.
is running. Like he's not staying still. I can tell from this video right now he's gonna be on the go. And
Mhm.
I love when they looked over at Henry and said, all right, then like let's do it. Let's spend the money. But she's very observant. There's that scene in the car where she observes like in a heartbeat,
Mhm.
tells everything to Martian about what he's been doing,
Yeah.
what it means, what it could represent, all of that. It's very. I don't want somebody that observant around me because I'm usually that observant.
It puts you on edge.
It does. Like you watching everything I do, so now I can naturally be myself. Now
Mhm.
you're gonna notice that, and now
Yep.
that's gonna turn into some shit.
That part.
So,
You think I'm being
um,
defensive.
listen, he the right one for it though.
For sure.
He can flip it
For
right
sure.
back, like you mentioned in that last scene. One thing that was interesting that I'll mention at the end of episode 2, Brandon Paul Martian
Mhm.
is in a hospital bed. It looks like, and it looks like his right eye is swollen.
Mhm.
No explanation. It looks like it's a flash forwarding of some sort.
Yeah.
It's just very interesting. I have no idea. This part of the fun of this show. I have no idea where it's going.
See Dr. Sammy's husband or handler.
Something happened to him.
That's where I'm putting it.
Too
Mhm.
much dip on his chip.
Yeah.
As far as episode 3, I know it was your favorite. Um,
I want to know how he got a daughter. I mean, obviously I know how we got a daughter, but
I'm about to say. Uh, so there's an animal called a stork, Rachel. And
how does he have this daughter that he's disappeared in and out of her life? I can't. How old do we know how old Poppy is?
I would imagine Poppy's around 15,
I would say 15,
16.
16, that teenage angst
Yeah, definitely 14 to 16. We'll say that.
hater.
Hate Poppy.
Hate Poppy.
Okay.
She obviously doesn't know what her father does. Maybe she thinks he's an author as well. I don't know. Um,
I think. Well, hold on. I think she knows because remember she made the jokes about when we first meet Poppy. She makes the jokes about him being a spy and all this other stuff. So I think she knows, but doesn't know to what extent.
I think she knows he works for the government.
Okay, because she asked like, "Did you kill anyone or anything like that?" So
Consider episode 3, where her little high ass is all in the vents and she discovers the identities. She doesn't know that this nigga's actually a spy. You don't think he's a scammer, with
Yeah,
this
that's fair.
random wallet, this, that, and the third. Again, keeping that
Fair.
ID coming back to you already, checking into
Mhm.
that hotel under this spy name, coming back to you with that ID already. Now you have this daughter who,
Which I'm sorry. Go
yeah,
ahead. I was
you
gonna say something, but I'll say that.
okay? No, you have this daughter who is clearly affected by you being away, by you living in all these other countries, having limited interactions. And now I stumble upon this other life in this ID. I know that you work for the government. I don't know what the fuck you do, mixed in with teenage hormones, emotions. We get her calling herself trying to check her daddy behind this shit, which
Wouldn't let that shit happen to me though.
wouldn't let that shit happen to me. I was gonna say something, but I didn't want to make it racy. But tricky. And I appreciate that he snatched her ass up. Like, you don't know that this house is bugged, like you don't know shit. That's what lets me know that Poppy doesn't truly know what the fuck it is that her father does.
All of that is great. That's a great
Mhm.
point that you just made.
Yeah.
She absolutely doesn't. And that scene, none of like I guess I shouldn't say wouldn't let that happen to me. I couldn't have pulled that shit off. I wouldn't even thought about pulling that shit off,
Yeah.
especially the whole crib just smelling like it. All
Mm.
because I found out this. Like, nah. The interesting part. Oh, what I was gonna say earlier. Here's something. I know we don't have things that bother me. Here's
Mhm.
something that's really bothering me about somebody here is on top of it is Martian. As careful as you are, because when we first meet you, when you first not when we first meet you, but when you're first in your new spot, the first thing you do is grab a mirror and you check for all the bugs,
Mhm.
and you successfully find them.
Yeah.
Right? You don't move them, or you compromise one of them by putting the teapot on it, but the rest of them you kind of know. If I move this, there's going to be questions. I
Yeah.
just want to know that they're here. You work for the CIA. Don't you think that anytime you use this ID, that it's going to pop up on some system somewhere?
Hello.
Like, don't you think that all right? That's no different than a company giving you a laptop. Laptop goes missing. They have ways to track that laptop and where it is.
Come
You
on.
think the CIA ain't keeping tabs of your identities, bro? Like anytime, like I said, I've watched the Bourne series, like Jason
Mhm.
Bourne. Anytime he used a passport, nigga, that shit popped up.
They know. Yeah.
They know. They know when you move. They know everything. They got people following you 24/7. They got
That's it.
backup trackers. You
That's
thought you
it.
got the tracker. They got the backup tracker on you. Like they're super careful. Why didn't you
Mhm.
think about this? How you think Henry found your ass, nigga? Like what are you thinking?
Hello.
Is love really that blinding? Is he really in love with her?
It is. And so take that thought. Is love that blinding? Consider the conversation surrounding Coyote.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing that makes you essentially give up your post is money or love.
Yeah, she said it. The doctor said it. Like I've seen another thing do it. What was it? It was morals or something, and then a bag of money. Normally, it's a bag of money. It's love. Yeah, you're absolutely right. That was a
Mhm.
great point. The
Mhm.
last thing I'll say, I'm not gonna say I dislike Poppy. Poppy
Yeah,
was definitely doing too much, a
for
whole
sure.
lot, and I do like the fact that he had to check her. Like, there's because as kids, you just don't know. Like, you think you know
Yeah.
everything, bro. This whole place is bugged. Like, shut up. And that leads into one of my favorite moments
Mhm.
when Bosco runs into Martian in the hallway,
Yeah.
and you know when a nigga of importance starts small talking you about some shit.
Come on.
Like, what's going on? Like, my antennas are already up. Like, what's
Yep.
going on? And
Yep.
very specifically wanted to make sure things are going well. Oh, you there with your daughter, right? Yeah. You all set up in your apartment, the flat,
The flat
which is specifically something
that he
that
heard.
Poppy said, yes, that they heard, which let him know, nigga, we are everywhere.
Yeah.
We know what's going on,
Mhm. Mhm.
and put someone notice of that. I don't. It's a lot of moving pieces right now, Rachel, and I don't know where they're gonna land, but
Fucking Poppy. Motherfucking
Yeah.
Poppy. You know she called her mama, called somebody. My dad has this random ID. Like, she ain't keep that to her chest. You had to have called your mom, called a boyfriend, your best friend, somebody about this discovery of your father's essentially secret life.
And as adults, if you're out there listening as an adult, of course it's going to be like, nah, you don't. But at 14, if you find out, you telling somebody just because you have to let it out, like what the fuck is going on? I don't think you have enough. I'm surprised she had enough wherewithal to even address it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm surprised she didn't just close it up. And that wasn't the storyline where she told somebody else and now somebody else is involved while he doesn't know. But she also made a good point. Like, if you thought I could find, if I found this, what you really doing? And if
Mm-hmm.
she said that, then obviously Bosco, everybody else knew that too. Like, maybe this
Yep.
nigga slipping.
Yep.
Maybe we need
Yep.
to put a little bit extra security. Maybe when he's out, maybe
Ooh,
we maybe when he's out, we come in and put some cameras in this place too.
ooh,
Who
Jesus.
knows, man? I don't know. Like I said, I couldn't live that life. It's too much.
It's too much.
It's
Too
too much.
much.
Too much. Um, I don't really have a ton else that I want to discuss, Rachel. I think we covered most of the main bases on the
Yeah.
show so far.
Yeah.
And as I was gonna say, as I said, there's just a lot more that we don't know, and I'm sure
For
we'll be
sure.
getting in the next coming weeks.
For sure. I agree. I think that we've had a lot of conversation. I hope that we've piqued your interest. If you have not watched it, I hope that there's conversation for you to join in on. If you have, more than open to listening to other perspectives and um not predict well predictions and
Mm-hmm.
conspiracies that you all have surrounding this. I'm excited for
Yeah,
episode 4. I mean, we got a week, but I'm excited for it. I'm ready. um Side eye everybody, and that's just a general
got
life
to.
lesson. Don't say I
Can't.
never gave y'all anything. Side eye everybody. Yeah.
Perfect advice. Perfect advice. So, um, just as we wrap things up for
Mhm.
everyone out there, these will be releasing every weekend. So the show it's released on the Paramount Plus Showtime app on Fridays.
Mhm.
I believe if you're watching on TV, so if you want to watch it on Showtime, 9 p.m. on Friday
Yeah.
evenings.
Mhm.
Rachel and myself, we will be recording over the weekends for the show.
Yeah.
Mainly Saturday, maybe some scheduled things happen. It has to be a Sunday. Just
Mhm.
know that you should expect these between Saturday and Sunday evening.
Yeah.
Saturday morning, Sunday evening, somewhere around there. We will be releasing them. Before we go, Rachel, what's your main prediction for episode 4? Mine is going to be that we find out that the guy following uh, Dr. Sami Zahir is not her husband, however, works for her husband. I think the husband is involved somehow. I don't think she's an agent. Or I don't know, man. I have no idea what's going on, but I just think we find out a little bit more about her and that maybe her husband is involved in that sense. Do you have a prediction for next episode?
Um, I think a couple things. I think we see more of Charlie, as you know. Spoiler alert: he and his team were essentially, quote unquote, rescued, or they were found, or they were the needle in the haystack found by the U.S. government, putting their mission back on in episode 3. So I think that we see them move forward with that. I think we learn more on what all Henry has going on.
Mm.
And I'll agree with you about Dr. Sammy.
There's going to be we're going to get a Henry and his wife scene in episode
For
4.
sure. Yeah,
100%. 100%. That's
for
going to
sure.
tell a lot that we need to know. So thank you, as always, for listening. Thank
Yeah,
you for tuning in. Thanks for watching. Please be sure to comment. Please include your comments because we will include you in the show.
absolutely.
Um, we got y'all's back. Tell a friend.
Tell a
Please, we'll be
friend.
back for a while. Like I said, 4 different shows from now, probably until March or so. 4 different shows we will be covering. I keep holding up my 4 over here so y'all can't see it on camera. Let me move it over. Um, we're excited. We're excited to get back. And also, don't forget us at the Culture Garden either, Rachel and myself. You can always catch us over there every Thursday. Rachel, final words, final thoughts.
We got y'all. That's it. Love y'all. Peace. Take care. Tune in. Like, comment, subscribe, share.
Simple as that. We out, y'all.